Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Very Cold Lasagna, your filthy casual place for all the filthy casual takes on the world of sports. I am DylanLasagna and welcome back to another episode number 130 of this icy yet spicy podcast. And today we're here to talk about the season finale of the 2022 NFL season, which happened down in Arizona in the desert. What is that exactly? Super Bowl 57. Yes, that is right. It happened just about a day or so ago, but it has come. It is gone. And we're here to talk about it. Who was in the final two? Who were the final two teams to determine who would be crowned Super Bowl champion of the 2022 season? Well, we had the Kansas City Chiefs, led by Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, led by Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. These two dominant teams that led the conference overall. The number one seeds in each of these conferences, the AFC and the NFC, collided in the desert for Super Bowl 57. Now, some fans were excited for this game. Others, not so much. Me, well, I certainly was one in the category of not so excited because, well, you know, I was in that category of not so excited because, yeah, my team, I guess it's safe to say it now, my team, my 49ers, my San Francisco 49ers, was once again did not make the Super Bowl because of falling short in the NFC title game to the team that ended up being in the Super Bowl. But as also being that the team that was also in the Super Bowl that the Niners ended up losing to a couple years ago was in the Super Bowl. So it was like a battle of two evils fighting each other in the Super Bowl that made the Niners and some of its fan base sick. So take it for what you will. So either way, I went to this game, you know, I eventually have to talk about it. I eventually have to cover it. And yeah, here we are. We're going to get it over with because, well, this is the final game of the 2022 season. And hey, at least when we're done with it, then it's on to the offseason stuff. So, yes. So anyway, just a little bit of an overview of what this matchup entails. Obviously, this is the first time that these two teams are meeting each other in the postseason. Andy Reid gets to face his old team for the first time in the postseason, in the Super Bowl, after facing the Eagles twice in the regular season. Was it twice? No, 3 times in the regular season. And obviously the big money matchup between Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. So yeah, it's certainly a big Reigns bonanza for the NFL, a big money matchup for the league. And obviously you got, for those of you that don't even watch the NFL or just watch the Super Bowl for certain things like commercials, the halftime show, you got your yearly tradition of that too. So it was certainly bound to be, once again, another big game for football, whether you were a fan of it or not. So yeah, this is gonna be a game that we're gonna be talking about. But before we get into it, just some general housekeeping stuff. I do want to remind you that we do have a little bit of content coming up. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, listen to the show wherever you get your podcast, follow the show on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. And yeah, stay tuned because we got a good amount of stuff coming up after the Super Bowl episode and beyond. At least a good amount of off-season stuff for the next couple months. So compared to last year, where we just had nothing after season recaps. Make sure you rate and review the show and leave a comment, like, share if you're watching this on YouTube. Just share it with your friends, share it with strangers, share it with anyone on my filthy cold takes on the world of sports. So anyway, all the housekeeping stuff's out of the way. Let's talk about the Super Bowl that happened in Arizona. And yeah, this was an interesting game from the start. The Chiefs won the coin toss, but they deferred it to the Eagles to get the ball first. And, as dynamic as the Eagles offense is, well, that was kind of like the first big mistake for the Chiefs, because their defense especially their secondary under Steve Spagnuolo was pretty iffy. It was still pretty iffy, giving up a lot of big plays, a lot of downfield plays. And what does the Eagles do best? Do a lot of downfield aggressive throws, especially when Jalen Hurts gets the deep ball to an AJ Brown or Devontae Smith. So that's exactly what Jalen Hurts and the offense did in the opening series. Attacked the Chiefs secondary in the air. And then once they got downfield to the goal line, Jalen Hurts did a quarterback sneak at the goal line, and they got the early 7-0 advantage. So kind of an early mistake for Kansas City to give the ball to the Eagles. But then you kind of would have said the same thing if the Eagles got the ball in the second half. But more on that in a bit. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs at least rectified that very quickly once they got the ball for their opening series. Mahomes and Travis Kelce attacked the middle of the field, and along with running back Isaiah Pacheco, getting some big running plays in thanks to the Chiefs' offensive line, gave him some big holes to work with, and the Chiefs attacking Philadelphia's two big areas of weaknesses early on their opening drive, which I mentioned. You have to attack the Philadelphia's run defense. Isaiah Pacheco has been a really good running back, a good gem for Kansas City as a rookie. And then you have to attack the middle of the field. And early in the opening quarter for the Eagles, they had a tough time stopping Travis Kelce. For as good as the Philadelphia's defense was, they just could not stop him on the opening drive. And Kelce tied it up 7-all. So the Chiefs actually managed to get the ball back later on. And they actually got in another good drive. They got back into scoring position, but they had to settle for a field goal. And when they got that field goal, Harrison Butker almost got it in, but just got doinked. And yeah, that set up the Eagles for a decent field position. But then rookie corner Trent McDuffie, man, he just got toasted. He just got toasted once the second quarter started. He was trying to cover AJ Brown, and then he lost sight of the ball, and then Jalen Hurts made him pay. He made him pay for McDuffie's mistake. He threw a long bomb to AJ Brown, and then once McDuffie was trying to find the ball, he was like, shit. AJ Brown, gone. 14-7. The Eagles retook the lead. And by that point in the second quarter, the Chiefs were defensively just hurting themselves. Frank Clark and Chris Jones were putting as much pressure as they possibly could. But again, like I said, where was the rest of the pass rush? Where was Carlos Dunlap? Where was Willie Gay? Why wasn't Steve Spagnuolo dialing up any extra pressure to get to Jalen Hurts and get him out of the pocket or sandwich him? Again, the offensive line for the Eagles was really damn good. But if you were the Chiefs, if you were Steve Spagnuolo as a defensive coordinator, you got to bring in some extra help for your top two defensive ends. So you had to do something early on, because they were letting Jalen Hurts get some really good options in early on. But with less than 10 minutes into the second quarter, the Eagles ended up making their first big mistake of the game. Jalen Hurts tried to go on a third down scramble, but then he had his arm stretched out, trying to show off, and he lost grip of the football with its arm wide out. Like, you have to protect the football. And linebacker Nick Bolin recovered what ended up being a fumble for Jalen Hurts, and Bolton ran it back unopposed and the game was tied all of a sudden, 14-0. And had that not happened, the Eagles easily could have been up 21-17. I'm not saying that because, I wanted the Eagles to win or anything, because certainly I didn't. But I'm just saying, you have to protect the football. You have to. I don't know why these quarterbacks, it's cool to put the ball out. Oh, cool! Look at me. I'm gonna stretch the ball like that. But then you lose the grip of the football. You have to protect the football in your arms, like a running back. Like running backs do. I don't know why quarterbacks do that so much, especially mobile quarterbacks. So anyway, I guess the good thing for the Eagles was that they bounced back right away after that mistake. They got really aggressive on that ensuing drive. They were 2 for 2 on 4th down, although the second attempt on 4th down was pretty much an offsides penalty. Jalen Hurts got his second rushing touchdown with an easy walk-in, 21-14, with less than 5 minutes to go. But the Chiefs, they're in their last possession of the half. It was just so damn hard for them to really protect Mahomes. Like, they were having such a tough time protecting them from the Eagles pass rush. I mean, it's not like the Eagles front four was sacking Mahomes or they were like hitting him or anything. It was just that they were like putting a lot of heavy pressure on him, that Mahomes was forced to like get the ball out early and just taking like some early throws and hits. It's just, you got to protect them. You had to protect them, and that's not what they did. That's not what the Chiefs did on their last possession before the half. And what ended up happening was a quick 3-and-out, and on the ensuing 3-and-out play, you saw Mahomes get tackled low when he was trying to scramble. He got tackled low and on his injured high ankle, and he was walking off in a lot of pain. Initially, it looked very concerning for Chiefs fans because you're thinking, well, shit. If Mahomes is screaming in a lot of pain, if he's limping that severely, and he's still on the bench grimacing in pain like that, it's like, well, fuck. If Chad Henne has to play the rest of this second half, and sure, Chad Henne has won them 2 critical playoff games against the skid marks and the all elite Jaguars in the last 2 years. But this is different. This was the Eagles. You were gonna kind of feel screwed in a way on the biggest stage. So definitely you had to feel some kind of way if Mahomes was gonna be like out, and at least initially. So the Eagles got the ball back. And they continued to attack the Chiefs can't cover for shit secondary, because that's what they were. They couldn't cover for shit, especially their corners during that game. And I get it. The Eagles passing attack is really good, but goddamn, the Chiefs really couldn't cover. But they just ran out of time, and they ran into a little bit of a delay of games penalty, and they had to settle for 3 points. So they went into halftime 24-14 over Kansas City. And I was just thinking, man, if Mahomes couldn't go into the second half, at least play it through, the Chiefs are kind of fucked. It's like the Eagles might as well waltz to the Super Bowl title and leave another what if. Just leave another what if on the NFL season, because basically that's pretty much what the Eagles like Super Bowl title run. I mean, no disrespect. They objectively speaking, they are a pretty damn good team, but it's just like these kind of things. Against the Giants, they were playing a pretty shitty Giants team. Against the 49ers, Brock Purdy got hurt. And then if Mahomes was not going to play the rest of the game because of the high ankle sprain, if he suffered a lot of pain through it, that would have been bad. It's going to create a whole lot of questions, you know. And even then, the offensive line for Kansas City had to protect him better. The secondary had to get some stops. I had to get some stops on Jalen Hurts in the offense, and the pass rush had to find a way to sandwich Hurts in the pocket, get some pressure off of him, create a 3 and out on the Eagles, and they couldn't do it in the first half. They had to make some adjustments to make something happen in the second half for them to pull off an upset. And yes, an upset. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs creating an upset over Jalen Hurts and what seemed like an unstoppable Eagles team. Yes, an upset. So anyway, they went into the half 24-14. The Chiefs were down 10 points. Gee, what does this remind you of? What does that remind you of, Niners fans? So anyway, we get to the Super Bowl halftime show. It was Rihanna performing for the first time since, honestly, forever. It feels like forever since she's done anything. Really, I mean, seriously, like, I haven't heard Rihanna sing in like ages. And I'm not a Rihanna fan or anything, but it's just like I haven't heard her name or see her do anything in like years. But I gotta say, it was an okay halftime show. Nothing too crazy. Like last year, nothing terrible like Maroon 5's in Super Bowl 53. But it was just like pretty basic. It reminded me, the stage setup was like the Battlefield stage in Super Smash Bros. Although I will say it was kind of hard to tell early on whether or not Rihanna was lip syncing or not. I mean, later on you could tell that she was actually legit singing in the back half of her set when she was singing Diamonds, Only Girl in the World, and some of her other songs. But I think like the first two songs, like you could tell that like either she was having audio issues with her mic or like she's like having like vocal issues in her throat, like because she hasn't sang in a while, like sang live in a while, that she was trying to shake off some rust. I did notice that. I did kind of catch that. But either way, I mean, it was okay. It was all right. I mean, I expected nothing more because, again, Rihanna hasn't done anything like since a good while. Like, I think 2016, 2017. So, again, I mean, I don't follow her music that well, but I haven't heard her name in the headlines since that time, 2017, 2016-ish. So, nothing special, nothing crazy, but I mean, hey, it was an all right show. And I did notice though that she does have a baby bump. I think she is pregnant. So that may have affected how the performance went. I mean, not in a bad way, but I'm just pointing it out there. And I will say the one thing saving grace is the Oompa Loompa dancers. I mean, they weren't exactly Oompa Loompas, but they did look like it. Another note, before we talk about the second half, the commercials. Honestly, I was just like passing through them as if it was like background noise. I mean, that's pretty much the whole Super Bowl for me, background noise. But it was just like the commercials were like nothing stood out to me. None of these commercials really stood out to me this year. And last year, I can name one commercial on the back of my head if I had told you all in the recap episode when I did it. But this year I can't name anything. I can't name shit. Like a commercial that's not a movie trailer. Like seriously. Nothing really stood out in terms of commercials. Because it wasn't, none of them were really that good. It's just my opinion, but I'm not really a good fan of the commercials this year. It's just my thoughts, just my opinions on that. So anyway, let's talk about the second half. I think the second half though was the Chiefs' second half. The first half was the Eagles' first half. That's where they really dominated on all fronts. The second half is where things really started to turn the tide in favor of the Chiefs. Whatever the Chiefs did at halftime to adjust, to take over in the second half, it really worked. It really worked. I noticed the offensive line better protected Mahomes, especially in their opening drive to start the second half. And Mahomes, he looked fine. He looked just fine, scrambling on the pocket. And sooner or later, you know it, Isaiah Pacheco scrambles in the end zone, and the Eagles' lead is cut 24-21. And Miles Sanders on the Eagles' opening possession of the first half, second half, he seems like he had caught and fumbled a pass from Jalen Hurts on, again, the second half opening possession for Philadelphia. And Nick Bolton, the linebacker for the Chiefs, recovered it for his second fumble recovery touchdown. But the officials were quick to rule that Sanders didn't complete the process of the catch. So the Eagles caught a lucky break there. So then there's more officiating weirdness when tight end Dallas Goedert converted a long third down. It looked like he didn't have both feet in or complete control. And there's also an earlier Devontae Smith catch I think it was in the second quarter that got overturned. So yeah, payback's a little bit of a bitch, huh? So anyway, the Eagles tried to rush back to the line for the Dallas Goedert catch, but a substitution stoppage allowed Kansas City to challenge it, but they lost it. But it didn't really matter anyway because Kansas City held them up to a field goal and a 27-21 lead going into the fourth. But that's when Kansas City really started to do their damage on the Eagles because receiver Juju Smith-Schuster got some good looks on the Chiefs' next attempt at the end zone, and the running game really got going for the Chiefs. Mahomes found Kelsey, and Mahomes threw a sidearm throw on a good play design by Andy Reid. Mahomes sidearmed a throw to Kadarius Toney, and Toney was left wide open. Mahomes misdirected everybody to the left and found Toney on the right, and he just walked in. And Kansas City took their first lead of the game, 28-27. And after that, when the Chiefs were on defense, Steve Spagnuolo finally brought some damn heat on Jalen Hurts. He called upon Willie Gay and another linebacker to put in extra heat on Hurts, and yeah, finally forced a 3-and-out, forced a punt, and then on the ensuing punt, Toney returned it big, put the Chiefs near the goal line, where Mahomes cashed it in, nearly almost on the exact same play design. Sky Moore, the rookie receiver, was wide open and doubled the score 35-27. So the pressure was very heavy now on Philadelphia. They had to score. They were getting outscored by the Chiefs. I think it was by like 30. No, not 30. 20. I can't math. 21-3. So they had to do something here because this game is getting out of their grasp. So, at least for the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts got a big play in. He got another big catch into Devontae Smith after corner L'Jarius Sneed misread a bomb from Jalen Hurts, and that big bomb to Devontae Smith set up Jalen Hurts' third quarterback sneak of the game. Jalen Hurts literally was the guy. He whether it is running through open field, setting up these big bomb throws to his receivers. Like you have to, like, as much as I hate to admit it, Jalen Hurts played his ass off for Philadelphia in this game, and he actually played really well for them. But the problem was even though they tied the game at 35, Jalen Hurts never got the ball back. 5 minutes left to go. Yeah. That's a lot of time for Patrick Mahomes. So, bad ankle and all. Mahomes, when they were at midfield, he got loose for a big-ass run, set up the Chiefs well into scoring position at the 2-minute warning. Fortunately for the Eagles, defensively, it seemed like they got a stop. And they used the time, and they looked like they were prime position to use their final timeout. But this is where things get really interesting for them and for the whole game. Some people were praising this as a really good game, one of the greatest games, a great game to watch because how high scoring it was, or how well these teams were playing with their balanced attack. I mean, obviously for me, it was just kind of hard to. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess to say it's a little hard to watch because, well, yeah, these are two teams that the Niners lost to in the last couple of years, so it's just like, yeah, I have no feelings towards it. But I will say, this part kind of tainted this Super Bowl. So what happened was, cornerback for the Eagles, James Bradbury, got caught grabbing Juju Smith-Schuster's jersey and got flagged for defensive holding. Now, I will say that, first of all, you reap what you sow, Philadelphia. And secondly, whether it was the right decision, the right call or not, and I will say it was the right call because he was tugging on the back of Juju's jersey. Whether it was the right call or not, I will say it is kind of bad timing. It really was kind of bad timing on the officials, because they've already run into so much scrutiny on, like, calls, how rigged like certain games are, especially the last two title games. It's just like in such a prime spot where, yeah, you throw a flag like that. It's just, I don't know, man. Just feels weird to call a flag just like that. So, yeah, it gives the Chiefs an automatic first down for defensive holding on James Bradbury. All the Chiefs had to do was burn the clock and burn the Eagles' last timeout. And to do that, Jerick McKinnon gets a big run in, carefully slides down right near the goal line, because had he scored, then that would gave the Eagles time to respond back. And yeah, they've certainly done a good job of that. So the Chiefs burned the clock down successfully all the way down to 11 seconds. The Eagles can't do anything to stop it because they used up all their timeouts. And eventually, when it gets down to the 11-second mark, Harrison Butker kicked the game-winning field goal. And the offense has one last gasp to do something with 6 seconds left for Philadelphia. But whatever Hail Mary attempt that Jalen Hurts had, it fell well short. And once again, for the second time in 4 years, the Kansas City Chiefs take their throne as the Super Bowl champions, 38-35. So, I don't know what your thoughts are. Great game, good game, bad game, okay game. I mean, I don't know. I have no feelings towards this game. All I say is that this was a game that had a crap ending. That's all I'll say. It was a game that had a crap ending. Like, it was just so anticlimactic. Like that, it was. Like, the way that it ended with how these teams were going back and forth, and then all of a sudden it just ends in a dud. It kind of reminds me of those WWE pay-per-views where it starts off so good and then it falls to shit. That's how it felt. So, at least for the Chiefs, you know, they're two-time champions. Patrick Mahomes finally breaks the curse of winning an NFL regular season MVP and winning a Super Bowl. First time that happened since Kurt Warner in 1999. And he becomes a Super Bowl MVP as well, even though the Eagles undid themselves because the Chiefs did a really good job of attacking their weakness in the running game. But, I mean, Mahomes' heroics also did play a major part in that as well. So kind of contradictory there, but it is what it is. So I will say that both of these quarterbacks did play really well. Jalen Hurts had himself a really good game on the ground and in the air. But like I said in my preview, experience plays a huge factor. And Mahomes, bad ankle and all, proved very valuable in the clutch. Getting some big throws into Travis Kelce, having that big run, like hobbled ankle and all, and nobody could stop him. Somehow, some way, they couldn't tackle him. Having that big run to set up the red zone drive that led to the holding call by Bradbury. That proved that kind of experience proves valuable to a Super Bowl winning team, and that is Kansas City. That's why they're a two-time champion, and Philadelphia walks away with no ring. Speaking of Philadelphia, the reason why they only scored like 3 points in like what? Was it like 5, 6, 7 minutes? It's like they were employing the 49ers strategy. Ball hogging. It's like they ball hogged the ball in the first half so much, like that much. I mean, it worked. It kept the ball away from Mahomes, but it only works so much. Like it only works so much for a certain amount of time that you can't contain Mahomes. You can't contain somebody that good forever, like Mahomes is. I mean, yes, admittedly, Mahomes is that good that you can't come away with just 3 points. So that's one of the biggest mistakes the Eagles made. And obviously the other one is Jalen Hurts trying to be a show off with that design run. And again, had he taken care of the football, the Eagles could have extended the drive, make it a larger deficit for Kansas City earlier in the second quarter, and make it challenging for them. And then James Bradbury's game-ending penalty, I think it's going to be a teaching lesson for them. Because why? Well, James Bradbury talked all that shit on not just the 49ers, but also the Chiefs. Like, oh, they're going to come in, win the Super Bowl, and we're going to be the kings of the NFL. Ha, ha, ha. Well, look at them now. Sure, he took accountability for it. I respect that. But, yeah, look what happened. Look what happened to the 49ers. How they didn't have a fair fighting chance. And look what happened. They got robbed of the title game. And look what happened to the Eagles now. You want to feel like you got robbed? They're going to feel like they got robbed. So let this be a teaching lesson for you, Philadelphia. You reap what you sow. This should be a teaching lesson for them, like for them to get better. Obviously they were a good team, if not a really good one, this season. Even if at times, especially during the title game, where they were okay offensively, but once they played up to par with the best of the best and made a killer mental mistake, then it comes back. I will say, if I try to form a sentence right, hopefully you learn something from it. So I feel like this will be a teaching lesson for the Philadelphia Eagles on where you can go from here, and how not to talk so much smack on we're fine, we're like they just need to learn how to take accountability for your act for how not to feel robbed, that kind of thing. And look at them now. So I'll say is both teams fought until the very end, but one bad chess move by the Eagles and undid pretty much their season. And the Chiefs are your Super Bowl champions, 38-35, in Super Bowl 57. So there you go. So anyway, season's over. The NFL 2022 season's over. Before I talk about my last thoughts on the overall season, let's talk really quick about the offseason for both of these teams. Like a little bit of a preview for both of these teams. Obviously, we'll get into a full in-depth preview once we get to the very end of my season recaps for both of these teams in about a month. So get ready for that. So for Kansas City, obviously, they're looking to retool for their title defense, their second one in 4 years. But they got some decisions to make. They have about $11 million in cap space. So, a little bit of money to spend, but certainly can use some more. So if they want to get some more money to spend to run it back for a repeat, they have some decisions to make. Restructures or cutting people as a cap casualty so they can ensure they can keep some of their key free agents and add others to the roster for what's assured to be a tough and AFC in 2023. So looking at some of their key free agents, you got offensive tackles Orlando Brown Jr. and Andrew Wiley from that strong offensive line. Receivers Juju Smith-Schuster, who played a key role in the fourth quarter of that Super Bowl. McCole Hardman, punter Tommy Townsend, who's a restricted free agent. A lot of free agents that the Chiefs should look into keeping. Again, they're probably not going to be able to keep them all, but they have to find a way to keep at least some of them. I think the two big priority ones are their offensive linemen, Orlando Brown Jr. and Andrew Wiley, and maybe Juju Smith-Schuster. But some of the other things that they should be focusing on is bolstering a secondary that was getting burned in coverage, especially in that Super Bowl, because they have to find a starting corner. I don't know anyone in that roster is there. Maybe they can find someone in the draft. They have like 10 picks that they can use in a draft that's in their hometown this year. So they can find somebody. This year. For the Philadelphia Eagles, a very successful season for them, ends in disappointment and fault. But now they enter in an offseason looking to defend their NFC title in 2023 and hopefully right the wrong, at least for their eyes, next season, and hopefully looking to be back in this stage in Vegas next year. So for the Eagles, they're currently sitting in the red ever so slightly at negative $1 million in cap space. And they also have some big decisions to make on who to restructure, who to keep, who to delete. And one of those big decisions is the contract extension of Jalen Hurts. He's in line for a big fat money contract extension this offseason. He's had a really big season this year, leading the team to a Super Bowl, having an MVP kind of year. But the Eagles have to decide if it's worth giving him a big fat contract this year after one really good year. He's proven it, but they have to decide if it's going to be worth it long term. We will see. And there are a lot of key free agents from the Super Bowl roster. Miles Sanders, Fletcher Cox, Ndamukong Suh, Javon Hargrave, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Brandon Graham and Robert Quinn, Jason Kelsey, Kaiser White, James Bradbury. It's a long list of not unrestricted free agents. They are all unrestricted free agents, mind you. The Eagles are going to be looking to re-sign all of them, if not some of them at least. But some very tough decisions either way are bound for a team looking to run it back, dominate not just the NFC East, not just the NFC, but going back to the Super Bowl in 2023 next season. So for both of these teams, they're looking to retool, redesign, rebuild, and reclaim. For the Chiefs, looking to retool for the Super Bowl title defense. For the Eagles, looking to get back to that stage next year. So overall, I mean, it was Super Bowl, at least for me, because the two teams playing it affecting my team. But it had a crap ending. It had a really crap ending. So, really quick, my final thoughts on the 2022 season. It was, again, not as good as the last couple of seasons. Offensive play was meh. It just felt like a downturn. Injuries were again high. It was really high, a good high amount of injuries, especially the concussions, and the officiating was god awful, especially in the postseason where it became clear what the NFL was trying to head towards. Some of it, yes, was self-inflicted, but the NFC Championship game was a clear indication of what the NFL was trying to go towards in Philadelphia. But either way, the NFL has a serious officiating problem. They have a serious officiating problem, like gearing towards what flags to throw, what not to call. Yes, it's had a serious officiating problem for years, but this year is one of the worst. It is literally one of the worst. And we'll keep saying that every year until they can find full-time officials. But anyway, I mean, the at least had an okay playoffs. You had it was still a okay season, but it's just like this whole season was not as good as 2021 was, where it was just like crazy insane. You didn't know what was going to happen. 2020, even the pandemic year, was pretty good, except for the Super Bowl, which was a blowout. But 2022, So now you're probably wondering, what's next? What's next? As a football fan, well, waiting for autumn. Yeah, a lot of waiting, especially if you don't watch other sports, you're not interested in them. Yeah, you're going to be waiting for the next 7 months. So take this time to, I don't know, read a book, invest in another hobby, self-heal, self-reflect, do some things in your life, or play a video game, or just relax, man. Not that kind of relax, though, where you do the weed and all that good stuff. But no, seriously. Yeah, off-season should be interesting, though. A lot of big-name free agents that are going to be out there. For me, though, obviously, we got the season recaps coming up in a couple weeks, and you have the draft, and who knows what to come from there. But this is day one of the offseason, and yeah, this is only the beginning of what could be some crazy headlines to come for what's going to prelude to the 2023 season in September. So, yeah. So anyway, what did you guys think about the Super Bowl? Super Bowl 57 between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me know your thoughts, however you can, where it's comment on YouTube or on social media at Very Cold Lasagna on Twitter and Instagram. I'd like to know your thoughts. Did you like the game? Were you rooting for the Chiefs? Were you rooting for the Eagles? Were you hoping for both teams to lose like I were? Yeah, I'm like Christian McCaffrey. Were you just watching it for the commercials, for Rihanna in the halftime show? I'd like to know your thoughts, however you can. But anyway, this is DylanLasagna, a Very Cold Lasagna, and keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. Thank you for tuning in to episode number 130 of this icy yet spicy podcast. And I thank you all for any of you that's tuned in to my coverage of the 2022 NFL season, whether it was 49ers recaps and previews, or like just the general picks and previews for each and every week in playoff game during this 2022 season. Thank you. Thank you for watching it. Thank you for listening to it. Thank you. I appreciate you tuning in to my filthy casual takes and my filthy casual picks on all of your teams, whether you support them or not. So anyway, that's it from me for now. Until next time, peace out.